The badge symbolizes rising out of Asia, and indeed, this is a company that's been heading in that direction. That's this week on Motoring 2007.
TSN's Motoring 2007 is brought to you by Q from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses. And Michelin, a better way forward.
This week we're going to begin the program with a Guess the Car Company quiz. Now this company in this country sells more cars than BMW, Suzuki, Acura, and Audi and Mercedes combined. That company is Kia. You know, the car company that says it's the fastest growing auto company in the world. Well, Kia's been around since 1944. They've been here in this country for 6 years, and they have been on a roll. In fact, this past 6 months, they have introduced the new Rio, Sedona, and Magentas. Well, this week, we're in the beautiful Laurentians in the province of Quebec to check out the new, and Kia says, improved Amanti, a car that, well, shall we say, is directed towards a more mature audience.
Kia Canada is really growing with momentum. We introduced Magentas on the 19th of March, and now we're introducing the 2007 restyled mid-cycle Amanti. We're very excited about it. We have a new Spectra, restyled Spectra and Spectra 5 coming in 30 days. And by the end of this year, Kia Canada will have the youngest product lineup in the industry. That's what I talk about, product momentum. The Amanti is a flagship vehicle for Kia, and it's very important. We're entering, we want to be in all segments of the marketplace, and this is one segment where we want to grow, and we're looking for significant results from it.
The Kia designers has given 2007 Amanti a fresh new look. It's longer, it's sleeker, and more modern. Apart from changes such as a new headlamp, new grille, and real tail lamps, we also added dual tailpipe to give it a more dynamic appearance. We added a more powerful 3.8 V6 engine, which produces 264 horsepower. That's 32% improvement over the previous model. We also improved the fuel economy by 7%. This engine is also mated to a silky 5-speed automatic transmission. On the safety side, the new Amanti has a good combination of passive and active safety restraints. For example, the Amanti has 8 airbags as a standard feature to go along with standard ABS. And we also have available electronic stability control on the luxury model.
This company, again, they talk about being the fastest growing car company in the world, and they're backing it up with the numbers. I mean, they're rapidly closing in and outselling Volkswagen in Canada. It's a pretty amazing effort for a car company's only been here 6 years.
The growth that we've had is just phenomenal. We're selling 30,000 vehicles, as you said, this year. Our goal in 2 years is to sell 50,000. And currently, we outsell many established brands that have been in this country 25, 30, 50 years.
The major difference is how much faster it is. The old car had a 200 horsepower engine. It was okay in most situations, but it struggled going uphill and for passing. This one's got an extra 62 horsepower. It goes like hell, and it rides and handles a lot better than it used to.
The car itself, as all Kias in the last 2 or 3 years, kind of amazes for its quality and content. There's an awful lot of value in this vehicle. Now, you take the hit on the resale side. That's where the money comes back to hurt you, if you like. But on the upfront, you get a heck of a lot of car for very little money. I think this is just a car they need to have a presence in that category. I don't think they're expecting big numbers, nor will they get them. But I think it gives present Kia owners something to move up to and to aspire to, if you like. And they appear to have a very, very loyal body of customers, so that would make sense.
You sold less than 1,000 last year. Some people may look at it and go, why bother?
Why bother? Because it is the flagship. Because the technology that we have in this vehicle, is going to be proven, and we'll be able to take it to the rest of the vehicle line. Again, we want to be a full line manufacturer. We are going to be entering segments that we haven't entered before, and that's the goal of Kia, is to continue to grow.
They're certainly growing a lot faster than probably a lot of people expected them to. I think it's a combination of the fact that the cars represent really good value, that they have a great warranty, and that the quality is there.
I think it's definitely a car for folks that are beyond youth, let's put it that way. And you know, the styling is very, very plain. Let's admit it's not its strongest point, but they've done a huge job with the driveline and the suspension.
Our demographics shows that most of our customer will be in their 40s to 60 age range. However, with the new styling and performance, I'm sure we'll attract more younger people than we have before.
I guess one alternative is to paint the entire car that color. More later on Kenzie's Corner.
You know, Daimler Chrysler's hit home run after home run. This week on Test Drive, the all-new Dodge Nitro. Does it measure up? The Dodge Nitro will be many things to many potential buyers. For some, an off-road stalwart, for others, an on-road expression of their own personality. The one thing it will not be mistaken for is anything other than a Dodge. From its oversized crosshair grille to its overtly boxy profile and exaggerated fenders, this thing has huge road presence. The single biggest drawback with this Nitro is the fact that the four-wheel drive system is of the part-time variety. That means that as the conditions change, you have to switch the system manually between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive locked. In today's world, it demands a full-time all-wheel drive system. Now, the saving grace is that option is available. It should be standard across the board. Where the Nitro really does surprise is in its ride quality. The reason for the surprise is that if you strip away the expressive sheet metal, you'll find a Jeep Liberty chassis beneath, albeit a radically revised version. If for nothing else, the Jeep was famous for its rough ride. In contrast, the Nitro is very civilized. The suspension absorbs all but the largest pothole in stride, and without the usual muss and fuss of a vehicle that uses a solid rear axle. The steering and brakes also follow this lead. The steering is fast without being twitchy, and the brakes are easily modulated and bring the Nitro to rest from 100k in just 42.9 meters. The back end of the Nitro has been well thought through. To begin with, when you get the tailgate up out of the way, the back end will hold 32.1 cubic feet of stuff. If you fold the seats down, that number grows to 65.2, which is generous. The other things, the rear seats are covered in hard plastic so you won't scuff up the carpet. The other nice part is this load and go optional floor. You take a heavy bag, you throw it on the back, and now loading it in is as simple as sliding it in. The one drawback, this back glass should open independently of the tailgate. It doesn't. When it comes to the powertrain, the Nitro is offered in two very different flavours. The SLT tested features a 3.7 litre V6 engine that's married to either a 6-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now this thing pushes 210 horsepower and 235 pound-feet of torque, which is enough to motivate the Nitro with enthusiasm. It'll run to 100k in 9.5 seconds and turns the 80 to 120 trick in 8.3 seconds. The range-topping RT is a very different beast, as its larger 4-litre V6 pushes a more rewarding 255 horsepower and 265 pounds-feet of torque through a 5-speed automatic transmission. Not only does the performance take a noticeable turn for the better, it does so with very little penalty in fuel consumption. You know, if you go with the Nitro SLT like this tester, you'll find a very nice vehicle. All the usual power items, leather seats, an infinity stereo that also features steering wheel mounted cruise controls as well as audio controls, nice dash, it's all put together very nicely. You'll also notice that the bold exterior theme carries on inside. Everything is big and bold and chunky. The one exception, the cowl. The dash panel has been pushed all the way forward. Now that does a couple of good things. First of all, it opens up visibility when you're on road, but more importantly, when you do venture off-road, you can actually see when you're climbing or descending a steep hill. There are also a couple of options that are going to be popular. My Gig is a multimedia infotainment system with a 6.5-inch touchscreen and a 20 gig hard drive that not only holds all of the navigation info, it can store up to 1,600 songs as well as JPEG images. As for safety, the Nitro earns an electronic stability control system, dual-stage front airbags and drop-down side curtains. The latter are important because they also deploy in the event of a rollover. You know, this new Nitro is a very nice bit of kit. It's got good off-road utility and good on-road civility. There are two things to bear in mind, however. If you do buy this vehicle, make sure you go with the full-time all-wheel drive system and opt for the 4-litre V6. Yes, that means going up to the RT model, but you know, it's worth the extra coin.
Michelin, a better way forward.
Consumers spend hours selecting the right vehicle and caring for it. The question is, can the same be said about their tires?
To your question, unfortunately, people don't pay enough attention to tire maintenance as they should. And I'll give you a quick example. People will actually care more about their running shoes than tires. And people want to make sure that your running shoes, that it's solid, it keeps your foot right, it has enough, stability to the ground. Well, when you're going at 100 kilometers an hour in a car, your tires are the only thing touching the ground between you and the ground, so it's very important. Initially, what I would say to the viewers, as I do to my father, is first rotate your tires, okay? Generally speaking, Michelin would recommend every 10,000 kilometers. But if you want the specific recommendation to your vehicle, look at your vehicle owner's manual and it will tell you specifically what the manufacturer recommends. At the change of every season, what Michelin would recommend is go see a Michelin tire dealer to have a real inspection of your tire by a professional. For example, what they would do, they will look at the tread depth. They will also verify the air pressure. They will also verify your wheel alignment to make sure that your tire gets the maximum wear and performance. Let's pick the right tires for your vehicle to get the maximum life out of the tires, get the maximum performance from your vehicle, and ensure your safety.
Three, two, one, go!
We're at the Shannonville Motorsport Park, just outside of Belleville, Ontario. And we're here with the lineup, the 2007 lineup of AMG cars, ranging from the SLK to the SLs, and we have some SUVs. So it's the first time that we've been able to bring all these cars together on a track, and we have 12 journalists putting them through their paces. Our AMG cars are high-performance vehicles, so in each class we have 1 or 2 or 3 AMG cars. So in this particular case we have the 63s and the 65s. The number represents the displacement, so we're talking about 6.3 liter engines, 6.5 liter engines, or 5.5. So very high performance, very high horsepower, very high torque, and a lot of fun to drive. from 0 to 60 or 0 to 100. They get there very fast, and for some people that's just all they want, and knowing that the vehicles can go more than 250 kilometers per hour. Not that we encourage them to do that, of course, but a lot of people take the cars on the tracks where under controlled supervision and safety environment they can really push the cars to the maximum.
I have to admit, the SLK, the small one, it's not the most powerful, but 355 horses in such a small car is absolutely amazing. Very nimble, very quick. Those who say it was a chick car before, not this one. This one is really all adrenaline from A to Z. So it's a beautiful car. And for somebody who wants the ultimate driver's cars on the highway, the S65 has over 600 horsepower and 738 foot-pound of torque. It's a train. Luckily, it's limited at 250, but nobody in its right mind will go that fast, but you could easily on top of that.
These cars perform so well, and what really strikes me about it is that in a country where the speed limit's 100 kilometers an hour, you might not think that you need a performance car, but these cars are so well balanced that they can get you out of trouble even when you're just driving on the highway, that it's amazing how well they work.
And of course, it'll be very, very hard to respect the speed limits with this. At 100K, you feel like you're standing still in these things. They're really made to go, which asks the question, why is this available? Because people will pay for it. And people want it. Same thing with a Hummer. Why do you buy a Hummer? Because it's available and you like it. So there's a whole lineup of product. They're not cheap, but if you want performance, it's really the way to go.
You know, car manufacturers are famous for adding in luxury items to your new car, but for a hefty price. Well, Kia is no different, although with the new Amanti, it's not a bad deal. For an extra $5,000, you get all sorts of new luxury items, including heated leather seats, upgraded stereo, 17-inch alloy wheels instead of the base 16, and that list goes on. And it also includes electronic stability control, which I find a little odd, because that really is a safety feature, not a luxury feature, and really, it should be included in your base Amanti. All right, now let's head to the Quaker State Garage and join Bill Gardner.
Hey Brad, you know, one of the more frequently asked questions from our viewers via email is, should I get my new vehicle rust-proofed or not? And I use that term kind of loosely. When you say rust-proofing, these guys are usually pretty careful how they word it, and they talk about corrosion inhibitors or rust protection because, of course, all sheet metal, if it's exposed to enough humidity, road salt, and scratches in a period of time, sooner or later you're going to get some rust on there, but you want to sort of put the brakes on it or hold it off. Now, current vehicles are probably better than they've ever been in terms of rust inhibitors. First of all, galvanized steel used, two-sided galvanized steel used extensively in pretty much everybody's vehicle these days. Lots of primer, multi-step paint processes, so the vehicles are protected better than they've ever been. And also, if you look at the way they're built, for example, the tailgate off our Power Wagon pickup truck, and I've taken it off and set it on a sheet of plywood here so I won't scratch up the edge. But if you look at the edge of the tailgate, the lower extremity of the tailgate, and it's always the lower extremities of your doors, tailgate, trunk lid, etc., they're the first place to get rust. Now, you'll notice that they've built in lots of drainage slots here to get the water out of this tailgate, and they've got a bigger opening here and some other ones as well to move some air through there to dry it out. Now, in terms of where you live in this country, it'll have a big effect on whether you need to do corrosion inhibitors as an extra thing after you've purchased the vehicle. As far as I'm concerned, if you're on the Maritimes, Quebec, or anywhere around the Great Lakes, Southern Ontario, it's money well spent if you plan on keeping the vehicle for more than 5 or 6 years. The first few years, you won't see any difference between your vehicle and someone else's. But if you keep it 5 or 6 years and beyond, as I tend to do with my vehicles, it'll really start to pay off, because you'll notice that these lower edges on the other vehicles of the same vintage of yours have a little bit of rust starting to creep in when yours still looks like new. Now, it isn't the walk in the park that you might think, though, because, you know, when you're washing your vehicle, your wash mitt comes up covered in oil and grease sometimes. It's messy, but it will wash off, of course. I think it's better than rust, that's for sure. And when I'm buying a used vehicle, I tend to look for the ones that were rust-proofed right from the get-go, because you got something better to work with. I mean, I could fix the mechanical side of them forever, but if the body and the chassis falls apart from rust, I'm cooked. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 2007.
You know, you could park your car on a mountain of salt and it wouldn't rust, provided you can keep it dry. Because as Bill Gardner said a bit earlier in the show, and to paraphrase an old expression, it's not the salt, it's the humidity. Because without the moisture for the salt to dissolve into, then the oxidization of your car's body simply can't take place. This is why the best rust-proofing products aren't designed to keep salt off your car, they're designed to displace the moisture. And I don't particularly care whether it's Rust Check or Crown Tech or Mazzola. You can put peanut butter on there for all I care. If it's oily enough, it'll keep the water away. Another way to prevent your car from rusting? Move up north. Yeah, it's a lot colder, but it's so cold that salt can't melt snow fast enough. It simply doesn't work. Now, I was in Edmonton not too long ago. It snowed like crazy. They don't put salt on the roads. They spread sand all over the snow. Now, of course, it makes it difficult to see where you're going because it obscures the lane markings. But Edmonton signage is so bad, you're not going to get where you're going anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But at least your car doesn't rust. The other thing about not using salt is that it doesn't pollute the lake, the waters. It doesn't destroy the bridges and the concrete structures in your city. And you think of cities like Toronto and Montreal, why don't they just use a little bit of sand? I mean, it might make Lake Ontario a bit dirtier, but at least it wouldn't kill the fish. I'm Jim Kenton.
You know, the new 2007 Kia Amanti is up against some pretty stiff competition with the likes of the Toyota Avalon, the Cadillac CTS, and the Chrysler 300, just to name a few. But the Kia does have a distinct advantage in price over most of the other guys, but despite that lower sticker price, it also comes with many more features. Now, they know they're not going to sell a lot of these Amantes, but they believe it's a big step towards their ultimate goal of selling 50,000 vehicles in the next 2 years. That's 20,000 more than this past year. Can they do it? Well, they say it's all about product and quality, and Kia certainly has improved on the quality. As for product, still to come this year, the new Spectra and a brand new car in a brand new segment called the Rondo. So it appears that Kia will continue to shake up the industry in the days ahead. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
2% of the crashes that occur are rollover, but 40% of the total fatalities is a result of those 2% of the rollovers. So there's an opportunity to help protect our customers.
TSN's Motoring 2007 has been brought to you by Q from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses. And Michelin, a better way forward.